glorified, and the people of God edified.
The thoughts, views, and comments expressed on this show are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production of Glory 93.9 FM.
Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women. And good morning, Bahamas, and welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm. It's always a pleasure to be in your company. And welcome to this show today. And before I go any further, I want to give a shout out to my newest sponsor, Bahari Bahamas has come on board, and they will be dressing me. So y'all know I can look cute every day, right? Between Bahari and Chevette Williamson with my jewelry and J.D. Edwards along with my hair, child, you can't speak to me. But anyhow, I can stay focused. So today we are going to be discussing a very controversial topic. Just recently, the Prime Minister announced that steps are beginning to move towards the legalization of medical marijuana. Now, we knew this was coming. There was a commission that was appointed to, do research about medical marijuana and then, all that kind of stuff. So we knew it was coming. But while in Abaco a few days ago, he made the announcement. And let's go ahead, producer, and play clip number 1 when he made that announcement.
The government is in the process of now completing the legislation to bring to Parliament to legalize medicinal marijuana so that medical marijuana can be grown by Bahamians here, utilized and exported. Medicinal marijuana. I also want, especially the young people, to hear that we are aggressively moving towards expunging the records of young people, and many have been done already, because too many of our young people have been arrested for minor offenses, including minimal use of marijuana, and their life could be totally destroyed in that they could not obtain proper jobs, they cannot visit the United States, and their futures is destroyed. I invite all who would have been charged with such minor offenses to apply. Apply so that your records may be expunged and your life can continue. The government will continue to expunge to protect our young people and protect our future.
All right, so that was Prime Minister Hubert Minnis while attending a ceremony in Abaco a few days ago, making that announcement. And like I said, no surprise, we knew it was coming. And we're going to be talking today with members of the religious community. And when I say the religious community, I'm not just talking about the church, the Christian church. We do have representing the Christian Council, Pastor Dave Burrows, Senior Pastor of Bahamas Faith Ministries. Let's go ahead and add him to the stream. Good morning, Pastor Dave, and welcome to GPS.
Good morning. It's my pleasure.
How you doing this morning?
I'm excellent. I'm TGH, thankful, grateful, and hopeful.
Well, I can borrow that. I like that. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show today. It's always a pleasure to see you. Our next guest, who is with us in studio, is the Vice Chairman of the House of Rastafari, Mikey Bowe. Let's go ahead and add Mikey to the stream. It's Mikey or Mickey? Mikey?
It's Mickey.
Mickey. Okay.
Blessed love to one and all.
All right. Welcome to Global Paradigm Shift. It's a pleasure to have you here. And we are also expecting to join us in studio. He's running a bit late, and hopefully he will be pulling up any moment now. The Royal Ambassador for the Ethiopian Black International Congress and representative of the Crown Council of the Ethiopian Empire, Richmond McKinney. So he is hopefully going to be joining us any moment now here in studio. So gentlemen, welcome to Global Paradigm Shift GPS. All right. So as I would have said, no surprise, we knew the announcement was coming. I would like to know, for the communities that you represent, what was the reaction to the announcement? Pastor Dave, let's start with you.
Like you said, I think it's pretty much expected. You know, the Prime Minister announced that he was planning on doing it. So there's nothing surprising about it, you know. So I think one of the problems that people have is understanding the issue. And they say understanding the issue, understanding the complexities of the announcement. Exactly what does it mean? How does it affect people? What's good, what's bad, and so on. So those are some of the things that I believe I can help to clear up.
Okay. And we definitely will get into that. All right. Ras, Mickey, let's hear from you. What was the reaction from the Rastafarian community when the Prime Minister made this announcement?
Well, for my community, the announcement.
Come a little closer to the microphone for me.
Okay. You
there
can
you
hear me
go.
now?
That's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
For my community, I think the announcement was, like you say, Michelle, we expected it, but we also expected more consultation. You know, we feel like the government really, they hearing us, but they ain't listening to us. And it was a surprise that they went one way and not the other way, which they decided to go with medical marijuana before sacrament. And it's funny that people who fought marijuana from the prohibition of marijuana is now want to be the one to tell us how to legalize marijuana. They have the most to say about marijuana, when all we know for the past was them fighting marijuana. But now look at the table, it's turned. Just like Rastas have always been saying that it has value in our life. And now we're going to see the value, not just monetary value, actually value to save our life.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of monetary value, we know that that is very much a part of this whole discussion, and we're going to get into that at some point during the show, because it's so funny that we would have to wait until we see other jurisdictions like the United States of America move towards this, and all of a sudden we are now examining this and seeing it as a potentially good thing. And not only that, but certain players have come forward, and from what I'm hearing, they're the ones who are going to benefit from this financially, whereas the Rastafarian community for years has been persecuted for this very thing. Do you all feel any kind of way that you were not included in the discussion as it relates to who will benefit from this financially? What were your thoughts on that?
Well, our thoughts, when it comes to, first of all, let me say, we know the Rastafarian community know it's going to be an economic stake, and we do want an economic stake, but that is not, and that has never been our mission with the cannabis. Our whole goal with the cannabis was to see it released the same way how we have. I can go on. I had mango leaf tea this morning, and nobody legislate how much mango leaf I should have picked off the tree to boil this morning, and that's all cannabis is. It's a plant. It's a plant, So first, we expected them to actually have more consultation with us, and we've reached our hands out. And when we look at the economic board that they set up, they aren't the regular Bahamians. They are not a segment of our regular society. They're the upper crust, who probably don't even know where Nassau Street is. Don't know how to find us down in the ghetto. Can't find Fire Trail, never been there before. But yet they're going to legislate and tell us who living in this how we could do this. It's far-fetched to believe that they would even think that this could work. And we're not, we asking just for consultation. We want to see this go the right way. We don't want to see it abused. We want to have the end of black market cannabis in our country. We want to be able to know that what we are getting is a quality product, and we could help with this. But nobody's asking, so it leaves us to wonder who is writing our destiny for us, because they sure ain't asking us the way forward. And we get meetings, but it's not a meeting of the mind. It's a meeting of, let me tell you what we're going to do to you or do for you.
Pastor Dave, what is the position of the Christian Council on this? Pastor Dave, can you hear me?
Well, I think, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you recall, but I did a paper on it. And basically, the Christian Council asked me to prepare a paper on it. I did extensive research and we presented a paper. So our position has been published. But basically, the position that we came to with respect to this issue is that we don't have a problem with medical marijuana as long as the focus is medicine. We don't have a problem with decriminalization because we understand that a lot of young men have been harmed unnecessarily by overly harsh penalties. However, we also understand the dangers of marijuana, especially marijuana that's accessible to underage children and teenagers and so on.
What is the dangers of marijuana?
Well, let's let him finish his point, and then we're going to get into the discourse. Go ahead, Pastor Dave. Finish your point.
Yeah. So basically, whenever you have wide, and by the way, let me just say this. First of all, let me give my respect to Brother Mikey. Much respect, brother.
Thank you very much, man, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So basically, we don't want young people harmed unnecessarily. Because a lot of young people have had criminal records for simple possession of a joint. The distributors may have gotten off, but the victims become double victims. So we understand that, and we believe that the harsh penalties that have been in place, imprisonment and so on, shouldn't be. So the decriminalization is not a problem, from the perspective that we've. I think the concern was that, as Brother Mikey or Mickey said, when we look at an issue like marijuana, we hear one issue being perpetrated, but we realize that there's something else in the background. So, for example, we are pushing medical marijuana, but is it really medical marijuana that is the interest of the people pushing it? Because when you look at refining and producing marijuana for medicine, the money in marijuana is really not from medicine. Medical marijuana has benefits, and as Mickey said, it's a plant, And just about every medication comes from a plant. Morphine comes from a plant. Every medication comes from a plant. So if the plant can benefit the population as a medicine, there's no issue with that. What happens is that a lot of times people present one issue to introduce another one. So for example, you say, okay, we push in medical marijuana, but the idea is to have marijuana grown so that you can have a market to sell it for recreational use. And so, if it's purely medicinal, I have no problem with it. If it's talking about decriminalization, I have no problem with it. If you're talking about mass use and introducing it into the community the same way that you have alcohol everywhere, if you have marijuana everywhere, I think there are some issues. And the paper that I presented explained that. The other thing too is, I did some extensive research on the hemp industry in the United States. And what I found is that, when we talk about introducing things in the Bahamas, I found that some of the industries that we are talking about introducing related to marijuana are not really viable financially. The only thing that's really viable is selling it as a drug or as a product for recreational consumption. So, the data from the perspective that I have indicates that it's not really something that is a ready market thing. And even long term, when you look at production, if you look at production in the Bahamas, for example, there are very few things that we can produce economically in the Bahamas. And there are things that we should be producing that we are not producing. For example, like food. So we are not growing food in sufficient commercial quantities. When I looked at
So your thinking this is not a priority? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't think medicinal marijuana is the real issue. I think it's something that's being introduced. Now, like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with, because if it's the best medication and it can help people, I have no issue with that. Okay, but
so Rasta Mickey, I'm sorry, go ahead, finish that point, and then we're going to get Rasta Mickey because he on the edge of his seat right now. He itching to say something. So
well, I think his question to me was, what are the dangers? And see, the thing about it is, what a lot of people don't realize about me in particular. Well, I guess the younger people, the older people recognize it, but I have an extensive background in marijuana. So I'm not a casual observer, someone who is commenting out of the blue. I'm familiar with the Colombian gold, the Jamaican collie, the Panama red. I'm familiar with all of it. And when I talk about danger, there are a number of studies, and this is in my paper as well. There are a number of studies that indicate that there are harmful effects, like marijuana-induced psychosis. And I'm personally familiar with that because I had several friends who suffered from marijuana-induced psychosis, and I know people today. I work with a lot of young people, and so I've seen the negative side effects of young people. Now, not everybody is impacted. There are a lot of people I know who've been smoking for years. There's no visible impact. But there are other people, and especially young people. A number of studies in the US has indicated that marijuana on the young brain is much more detrimental than an older person. And it affects cognitive ability. It affects short-term memory. It has a number of effects. And I've laid that all out in the paper that I presented. And, if anyone who's interested in seeing that, they can see that. And there are a number of other things, but I'll just start at that point.
Let's hear from Rasta Mickey.
Okay.
Because I know you've been itching.
Yeah. I mean, Pastor Dave gave us a lot just now. Mm-hmm. But it's a few points them I would have liked to touched on that he mentioned. Okay. Let's start with the psychosis, because that's one of the biggest things that everybody, marijuana give you psychosis. We could do all the study we want, There's have never been a person overdosed on marijuana. It's physically impossible to ever. So how dangerous could it be? We and the Rastafarian community we know that it's a way of growing marijuana that induce psychosis. And it's not the cannabis that's causing the psychosis. It's actually the chemicals that you use to grow the marijuana with. And see, this is some of the consultation the government should come and ask us, because it's not just dropping a seed in the ground any longer now. We have hydroponics growing where you actually add in the oxygen and everything else, and that changes the strength of the marijuana, at least of the cannabis, and what it can cause an effect. So it's not you're moving something from the natural into moving it into being unnatural, because you're now adding chemicals to it. And that's something that we are definitely fighting the government not to allow that type of grow if you allow cannabis to grow here in the country. So the psychosis part, that's finished, because it's not, and that's a false narrative to say that cannabis causes this. No, it's the way you grow the cannabis that causes it. It's the actual chemicals that you're adding into, because see, if everybody have grown a plant before, and we know we put put it into the soil, water it grows. Okay, when we grow hydroponics, it's a way of growing it that you grow it 100% in water without soil. So you have to add things into it, and I don't want to go deep into it, but you have to add certain chemicals into your water and things, so the water, now the plant will react as if it's in soil. Very dangerous. But let's don't blame cannabis for that. Let's blame what we grow with that. See, because this is where knowledge comes from. Every use of cannabis is a medical use, even if you don't know it. Why? The body has THC receptacles in it. The brains. We know that we use it for sacrament, and I'll explain something to you. We say that it's so detrimental on the brains, but yet our brains have all these synapses, receptacles and everything for THC that we only can get out of cannabis. So it's obviously the body itself, the DNA of the body was designed to use cannabis, but we don't teach it.
I think one of the things that he did say, though, that it's more dangerous to a younger brain. See, so under the age of 18, I believe it is. Go ahead. No,
I understand that, and that's why I'm going to get to a point with cannabis and kids.
Right.
We don't, and in the Rastafarian community, let me say that I do wear two hats. I am a Rastafarian first, and I am the chairman of our community. So I really speak with a unified voice of our whole community. Mm-hmm. But I also am a human being and a person who knows and also has a cannabis business doing medical marijuana. So I do see patients who's on it at all age level. I'll give you a personal story. I have a niece and a nephew with one of the rarest disease in the world right now. And it's so funny that they said that it's so rare they don't even think there's nobody else in the Bahamas or even in the Caribbean with the disease. My nephew it was a point where he had 20, 30 seizures a day. Every doctor in Nassau and in Grand Bahama know them by name. Everybody. That's how much from the day he born he's been dealing with the situation. Cannabis could help him. But it's illegal. My sister doesn't want to break the law, but she watches her two kids suffer. Should she pack up and move to California just so she could give her kids a medication? There has something called Charlotte's Web. Every time Bahamians think of marijuana, cannabis, all we think about is the smoking aspect. If marijuana was legalized, we smoke it the way we have to because of the way we have to get it, because it's illegal. We have to have it in the smallest quantity and use the most potent of it. But if we could possess it with no problem, no strings attached, nothing else, no weight limit requirement, then we could now, like Pastor Dave says, in the Bahamas, there's only the smoking, because that's a small-minded thing that all Bahamians think. It's so much. The biggest product right now, last year, in the cannabis world was sports drink made with CBD and THC, not smoking it. The second largest is edibles, not smoking it. Most cannabis users would prefer not to smoke.
Including the Rastafarian Church?
Well, then we have different ceremonies that uses cannabis. Yes, not all the time we do, because we do have what looks like a bonfire, but in the middle of that is burning cannabis, which is like an incense.
Talking to the mic.
It's like an incense that actually burns in the church. So we have different rituals that we use cannabis for, but cannabis isn't just, it's a medication.
But what if I'm understanding what you're saying now, you're saying that one of the reasons why you all have to smoke it is because it's illegal and you can only get it in small quantities.
Well,
whereas if it were legal, not just as medical marijuana, but for your sacrament, that you would be able to administer it in different forms. Is that what you're saying?
Many different forms. You know, everybody just look at the joint, but we see it as something bigger than the joint. I actually, if I wasn't in a rush this morning, I actually was going to bring you some skin cream made from cannabis and different products actually, and it's a medication that can help.
I mean, there's a huge industry out there with products that use CBD oil and all this kind of stuff. So I'm aware. I'm aware.
With them saying that the only market here in the Bahamas, viable market here in the Bahamas, is to sell it as a drug. It is not a drug. They already classified it and they're going to deschedule that, and it's not a drug. If you tell me you drop a seed in the plant in the ground, it grows, you water it, 3 months later it grows, you pick it, you just grow a drug?
Well, you know, here's the thing.
We got to that's the thing I asking for, education.
Yeah.
Because without education, we will be teaching our children that now drugs are legal. When we could tell them, no, we're now making a plant again.
Okay, so here's the thing. I agree with you that it's a plant, but as Pastor Miles used to say, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Anything that is created for a good purpose can become something that is abused. Anything, and marijuana is obviously a part of that. So we're going to talk about that, but we have to take a quick break. I want to take a look at the effects of medical marijuana, because listen, from a scientific perspective, marijuana has many healing properties. Let's just get that straight, okay? It has been vilified. It has been, but the truth be told, the Bible itself tells you that healing is in the herbs. But the marijuana plant has many healing properties, no question. So now we are at the place where the Bahamas is getting ready to legalize the medical aspect of marijuana. The Rastas are saying that's not going far enough. The church is saying that is definitely going far enough. We're going to talk about all of that and look at the medical benefits on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
Ocean blue is the best in seafood, hey, hey. Fresh out the water and affordable too, yeah. We got fish, conch, lobster, shrimp, everything you want, Ocean Blue got it. Ocean Blue, friendly and clean, best service you ever seen. Ocean Blue is the best in seafood, hey. Fresh out the water and affordable too, hey. Ocean Blue Seafood, we are here for you. Ocean Blue Seafood, no one else will do.
At Lee Air, safety is our #1 priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations. For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all. Schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Youngevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
And we are back. Welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm. And today we are talking Going Up in Smoke, the move to legalize marijuana. My guests today are the senior pastor of Bahamas Faith Ministries, Pastor Dave Burrows, who is representing the Bahamas Christian Council here today. Also here in studio with us is Vice Chairman of the House of Rastafari, Mikey, Bowe. Gentlemen, prior to the break, we started talking about, we touched on children and the fact that it has been shown that marijuana can have negative effects on the brains of the young. And I know Mikey had started to make a point that he wanted an opportunity to complete before we move on to the next section. So go ahead, Mikey. The floor is yours.
Okay. I was making the point about kids and why we say that kids shouldn't use cannabis, and we look at it and I say no, kids shouldn't smoke cannabis. But kids, remember, my niece and nephew with their rare genetic disease and with the seizures, I think everybody who've done any cannabis research, the first thing they'll come about is the story about Charlotte, a little girl in North Carolina who had seizures, who was having up to 50 seizures a day. And they found that the cannabis would stop the seizures, but it was against the law in North Carolina, and the family had to move to a state that actually allowed them to give their child underage because there's an age requirement in North Carolina. So the child would have died in North Carolina with the medication readily available but underneath the age, but she could have moved to Arizona where she was able to take the medication. So even though you say it's gonna destroy the brains, if you allow a 12-year-old to smoke, what it's gonna do to their brain? Obviously, yes, it's gonna destroy their brains. But if they were taking it in some medication form, tea, rub, anything else, we look at alcohol. If Sundays, we know alcohol has destroyed the brains, but we'll give alcohol as a sacrament with no problem to 12-year-olds. Underage kids, they get the sacrament. It's alcohol, but hey, it's okay because it's at church. But we don't even we don't believe in giving our sacrament to underage. Our sacrament is not, that's a ceremony. So sacrament would not be for somebody underage. And that's why we said all use of cannabis is medical. Even if you don't know it, you are still using a medication and it's still helping you in some form. So to say it has no use, that's far. That's why I said I personally, I've been pushing education, and true education in earnest, not that false education. Because we know we have books that will tell us that marijuana is horrible and has no use in the for human consumption. We can find those documents, and there's literature, because that's the literature they use to criminalize it. And we know that was a false narrative. And if we decide to still do that research, we can find that information to give us a false narrative. So now that's why I say in earnest, we need to be really upfront with what it is and how it can benefit mankind within themselves all around.
Okay. Let's do a little bit of that educating right now. I want to go to clip number 2, producer. Here is a clip about what is medical marijuana. And I think it's important that people make the distinction to understand that it does have medicinal value. I don't think anybody on this panel is disagreeing with that. So let's take a look at this clip about what is medical marijuana. It's not coming up? Okay, let me.
Over the last 2 decades, 29 states have enacted medical marijuana policies, and more are set to follow suit. More and more people are finally realizing that medical marijuana works. Hundreds of thousands of patients find that marijuana relieves them from their symptoms. In 2013, a survey by the New England Journal of Medicine reported that 76% of physicians would recommend medical marijuana to their patients. But what is medical marijuana? Medical marijuana refers to using the marijuana plant or its basic extracts to treat symptoms of illness and other conditions. Marijuana's medicinal properties come from cannabinoids, natural chemicals contained in the plant. The 2 main cannabinoids that are currently of medical interest are THC and CBD. Much like humans, every strain of cannabis product is different. Each has varying amounts of THC and CBD. Depending on your symptoms, you'll have better results using some over others. So, what can medical marijuana really help you with? One of the most common symptoms marijuana can treat is stress and anxiety. This includes PTSD, ADD, and ADHD. As a non-addictive alternative to prescription medication without nasty side effects, marijuana is an attractive option for the health conscious. Cannabis can be a great sleep aid, given its ability to relax the body and combat insomnia. Using it in combination with other natural remedies, like chamomile tea, can give you an even better restful night. Higher THC strains will boost your body's energy and mood, which is a great relief for people dealing with depression. Of the 350 million people affected by depression, fewer than half received any form of treatment. Marijuana may be a great addition to your treatment, since it can create a happy and relaxed atmosphere. The famous munchies is the compulsion to eat you get after consuming marijuana. While to some it may be a joke, it's also a valuable solution for those suffering from a lack of appetite, nausea, and vomiting. Most notably, the munchies aid symptoms induced by HIV treatment and chemotherapy. Despite what you may think, smoking is not the only way to consume medical marijuana. Ointments and oils provide the benefits of medical marijuana without any of the psychoactive activity. CBD oil, in particular, has been shown to be useful to treat arthritis, muscle pain, and spasms. It's important to feel confident and secure, so remember to consult your doctor and don't be afraid to ask any questions.
All right, so we are joined now. Let's see if we can get him in on the stream. He's actually decided to come on via StreamYard. I don't see him up yet. I see he's on, but it's only sound. Okay. All right. So Congress and representative of the Crown Council of the Ethiopian Empire, Richmond McKinney, has joined us via StreamYard. There he is. Now we can see his face. How you doing?
I'm okay. Blessed. Sorry for my late arrival. I was trying to come down by the studio, but I going to the wrong direction, so I came back. So I didn't.
I don't understand how y'all could get lost, but anyhow, we can talk about that after the show. All right.
That's what I'm pushing.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show today. I don't know if you were able to listen and hear what all has been discussed so far. All right, so I want to go.
I let the chance to challenge. No.
Okay, well, okay. So I want to go to a couple of our Facebook comments before we continue on with the conversation. Stacy Smith says, some people are slave to that plant. Everything can be dangerous if abused. That's a comment from Stacy Smith. She also says cocaine comes from a plant as well. Let's see. Amy Missick says marijuana is so dangerous to our society. Then look around. We have a 30-year plus ongoing case study to observe and find the point to this idea that marijuana is really dangerous. Now, this is an interesting comment. Stacy says it's being introduced for votes. That's an interesting thought. Marvin Storr, obesity kills more people than marijuana would ever dream of. And let's see. Stacy says even use of cannabis is medical. Stop talking nonsense. So I guess she's opposing what you were saying, Mickey, that all use of marijuana is medical. Now, somebody is defending you. Jamie Missick says what he means is if you use a medicine, in this case, marijuana, it's a medical use. The most effective medical use of marijuana is by smoking it. Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. That is not what is being said here on this show today. And I want to be very clear that this show is not to promote the casual use of marijuana in any which way. We know that it is now about to become legal as it relates to medical marijuana, the Prime Minister making that announcement a couple of days ago. And I thought it would be a good thing to have this conversation with members of the Rastafarian community, as well as a representative from the Christian community, about their thoughts on the move towards legalizing medical marijuana. Pastor Dave, your concern, as you would have noted earlier, is that this is just a doorway, or this could be used as a doorway to usher in the legalization of marijuana, period. Are you suggesting then that we should see a more specific definition of where this is going? In other words, if you, let's say the Christian church were to say, okay, the Rastafarian church says they need it for their sacrament, so it's fine to legalize it for their sacrament, but we still stand against widespread casual use. What is your position as far as that is concerned?
Well, I think if you are saying medical marijuana, I don't think there's any issue with medicine.
Yeah, everybody agrees.
For example, we have all kinds of pills, all kinds of drugs coming to the Bahamas. So if marijuana, if you are saying we are going to allow marijuana medication to come in, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with marijuana with the exception of the psychotropic or psychoactive aspects of it. So I realize that marijuana can be beneficial medically, and that's not an issue. I realize that a lot of young men have been marginalized and impacted negatively by having a criminal record for small use and so on. So the decriminalization, I understand that. The only issue that I have when it comes to marijuana is the drug aspect of it, the psychoactive aspect of it, basically getting high. And like I said, I have extensive knowledge and experience and understand from a personal perspective, and then also as a counselor, working with young people, working with parents, working in all kinds of environments. And I think when we look at it, having marijuana legal medicinally should not really be a big deal. When I hear that we are talking about making it legal medicinally, I also hear the undertone that there's a backdoor industry. So, for example, we say we want to grow marijuana for medicine. that means I'm not totally sure exactly how it's going to be regulated and everything, right? But that means that marijuana is being grown. Now, if marijuana is being grown and if it contains THC, then there's going to be a black market. And if there's a black market, I mean, there already exists a black market. There'll be a heightened black market or an exacerbated black market because people will go to try to find it as a drug. Let me give you an example. In the hemp industry in the United States, I did extensive research in it. The hemp really doesn't contain a lot of THC. So the hemp farmers in the US started growing hemp. But what ended up happening was they had to hire security because the guys or the robbers didn't understand the difference. And so the hemp farmers were being robbed thinking that it was, marijuana with THC.
Right.
So, the minute you have marijuana being grown anywhere, if it has THC, and to some extent, even if it doesn't have THC, it's going to create some problems. In California, marijuana was legalized for growth, and the illegal industry didn't go away, it actually grew. And the illegal industry continued to be more powerful than the legal industry because the legal growers had to pay taxes, they had to go through regulations. The illegal growers didn't have to do anything. So actually in California, crime went up instead of down. So you have to be very careful about how you introduce it, how you regulate it, so that you don't say you are solving one problem and create another problem. And that's the issue from my perspective. Like I said, I don't have any problem with marijuana. I have a problem with the psychoactive, psychotropic use of it and the impact that it has, particularly on young people. I'm a counselor. I counsel a lot of parents who have children who have suffered from marijuana-induced psychosis. They have a myriad of problems. I have some parents who brought students to me from the COB. They were in COB. They were doing well in school. They started getting high a lot, and then all of a sudden, they don't want to do work anymore. They don't want to go to school, and so on. So, different issues like that. Then there are other parents who had kids who freaked out, and marijuana does have that impact. So I think when you talk about marijuana, you have to make sure that, first of all, you understand the difference between medical and the drug aspect of it, or the getting high aspect of it, and that you understand how the complications that you could introduce. So I haven't seen exactly how it's going to be organized, regulated, and so on. So I can't really speak in detail, but I can point out some of the dangers from what has happened in other jurisdictions like Colorado and California. And I have extensive research statistics on both of those locations. And then another thing that is very important when it comes to regulating is that in both California and Colorado, the number of visits to the emergency room quadrupled because kids were eating edibles and they didn't realize that it was marijuana. So they actually overdosed. So that's one way that people can die from marijuana use. So you have to be very careful about the edibles, making sure that they are not accessible to children, because in both Colorado, New York, and California, a number of physicians have testified as to, ingesting more than what is needed, or ingesting too much can cause death. And I can provide the studies that show that.
Please do, because we're still waiting. That is a fallacy. I won't say you lie, but I'll say that that's not true. We like to see that study because we know that marijuana can't do that. But a lot of that you said, especially with the legislation of medical marijuana, we agree with, because we still have to see how it's going to be done, because we have to stop the black market. a lot of us do our studies out of America, where the first thing I spoke about was what we don't want is a type of marijuana grown here in the country that will give you a psychosis. So we'd all do that study of marijuana out of America, but we've never done that study out of the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown, who fully legalized marijuana. Give Barbados them a full legalization and see the benefits that happened in his country. One, the use of marijuana went down dramatically. Because why? It's just like when you tell a person you can't have something, so everybody want it, and when it become open for everybody, you notice nobody use it. And that's the problem. That's what they found over there with the use. They also saw our community, and I'm proud because our community actually got an apology from the Prime Minister. He came with legislation to have sacrament, medical, and recreation. He legalized it across the board. They don't have a drug. And when we want to do studies to see if it works or if it doesn't work, let's stay out of America. Let's go to our brothers who have the same landscape and people who have the same mindset as ours. And let's see what they do and how it benefit them and how it help them. Because we look at our Rastafarian community over there, which actually just built their own school, coming rising out of the dirt, having nothing. But just with that, we could actually see, when we look at it, we got to look that it's only 400,000 of us here. When we look at medical marijuana, this has to be something to be exported when they look at making money out of it. The money would not be here in this country. The money it would grow here, and the money would come from the export from outside of our country. So you would find that legalization doesn't mean more usage. Legalization sometimes means less usage. And now you don't have to take the smoke, you could actually boil it. When instead of needing grams, you could actually use ounces, and it ain't illegal, so you'll be able to boil it, just like the Sorosy, and that's why a lot of things, when I tell them all uses is medical, and people say, oh, you got to be tripping. No, see, that's why you need education to realize that your body is full of these synopsis, and then we realize why the human body uses 7 to 12% of the mind, and we don't access the whole 100% of our mind. These are things that we need to start looking into, and that's why I strong for education. And it's funny, and I expect the reaction from the public to be, if we have already told the public for the past 60 years that marijuana is the gateway drug, marijuana is the corruption of our society, marijuana causes people die and gang violence and all of these, and then the next 2 days later the government say, okay, this is our new thing, it's legal now, without no education to the people to tell them how we reach from it being bad to it being good. We can't just open that door without explaining, educating the people, or we will have this conversation on why the government want our children to be drug dealers or use drugs, because we still be looking at a plant as a drug. It's just a plant.
Okay. The Rastafarian community recently met with the Attorney General, and I'd like you guys to talk about what was discussed at that meeting. And we're going to talk about some other aspects of this whole question as well. This whole conversation as well, as it relates to what does decriminalization really mean? We're going to talk about that on the other side of the break, but let's take this break. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to find out more about what took place in that meeting with the Attorney General and the leaders of the Rastafarian community, and what does that mean for the young man who has been having a hard time moving on with their life because of a criminal past, because of one joint, and now they're saying you can expunge those records and start your life over. We're going to talk about that and more on the other side of the break. Stay with us. This is GBS Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM.
hats off, looking like I walked out of catalog. Everybody wanna know where I got it from. Catwalk, 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 boutique, where we make fashion statements. Catwalk, boutique, where we make fashion statements.
For the latest styles in women's clothing and accessories, visit Catwalk Boutique on Robertson Road East at the Helron Plaza. At Catwalk Boutique, we make fashion statements.
Looking for an extraordinary junior high school with caring, qualified staff and affordable tuition? Then come visit us at Elite School of Excellence, an affiliate of First Step Academy. ABECA-focused and Ministry of Education approved, we foster discipline, integrity, and wisdom while molding our students for success. Call us at 341-8846 or stop by First Step Academy schools on Fire Trail and Soldy Roads for more information. Escape from the city life to Bacon Air Beach Resort in Piratesville, Mayaguana. Relax in one of 16 air-conditioned rooms just steps away from the ocean. Enjoy scrumptious dishes in our waterfront dining room. Sip on a tropical cocktail, or if you must, stay connected with wireless internet. Nestled on one of the most beautiful beaches in the Bahamas, Bacon Air Beach Resort offers a unique vacation experience. For reservations, call 339-3726 or 463-0182.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Glory 93.9 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm, and my guests today are the senior pastor of Bahamas Faith Ministries, representing the Bahamas Christian Council. Here on the panel today, Pastor Dave Burrows. Also with us is, I want to make sure I get this right, Mikey, Bowe, Vice Chairman of the House of Rastafari. And also on the broadcast today is Richmond McKinney, who is the Royal Ambassador. Let's get him up on the stream. There we go. And he is the Royal Ambassador for the Ethiopian Black National Congress and representative of the Crown Council of the Ethiopian Empire. We are talking medical marijuana today. That is the topic of discussion on GPS today. And did we just lose Pastor Dave?
No, I'm back. I'm back.
He's back. All right, he's back. All right. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about today. I want to look at a couple of comments on Facebook. Let's see. Gina Waterman Store says, getting lost in NASA never used to be a thing. Okay, Gina. Let's go to Jamie Missick. The pastor mentioned being okay with decriminalization. Decriminalization is indeed the doorway, and it's good that he is okay with it. Gina says, thousands of Bahamians are already consuming THC and CBD products to their benefit. That is true. Let's see. Jamie Missick says there's zero difference between a marijuana plant grown for recreational and a plant grown for medicine. Gina, again, is the Christian Council trying to reverse the legalization of casual use of alcohol? And Jamie says the pastor mentioned several times the issues he has with marijuana, like somehow the larger public care to have our freedoms dictated by the whims of people with the personal views on what another human should do with a God-given plant. You don't police my time, or Basil, don't police my marijuana. Boy, Pastor Dave. All right, let's stay focused on what we want to go to, and that is the conversation that took place with the Rastafarian leaders and the Attorney General a couple of days ago. Gentlemen, can you give us some of the highlights of what came out of that meeting? You can go ahead.
First, I want to say and send a comment from Pastor and saying that person even died from it. But I give thanks to Honorable Mikey say something about it. But the Surgeon General of the United States say cannabis has never caused any death, no time at all. So that's something we have to really be careful what we say.
Okay, so let's talk about the meeting. Yeah.
Concerning our meeting with the Attorney General, we just then going to talk about the medical. Of course, we listen to the Prime Minister and he stated that in his town hall address in Albuquerque. But we're going to consider our rights as Rastafarians in our community, considering our sacramental rights, because we know last year the Prime Minister tabled for a recommendation from the Commission, which is the sacrament, the medical expunging of records, and letting ones out of prison who get small amounts of marijuana on a small time. So we never found from the Prime Minister what is the small amount. And now that he talked about the medical, and he said that he will let the young people know that he have their rights at heart. He want to assure them that he is expunging records right now, and for small amounts and for young people. So we see that as a backpedaling from what we know was the recommendation, what he's supposed to table in, what he tabled in the House and was supposed to be drafting early this year. And that's supposed to be the forward things he table inside the House. We know that it's a board dealing with expunging of record now by the former commissioner, Paul Farquharson. But at the same time, Mr. Farquharson is expunging records of young people still getting locked up. So that would make no sense. And what about persons my age who never had no herb, showing smoking a herb, who just use it as the God-given right and they know the benefit of it, and they get locked up a few times? What about their rights? What about their record being expunged? Because they've been hold on for years and being victimized. So we went there to talk about human rights and human justice, and also to know what on the book concerning us as Rastafarian, concerning our sacrament rights. So that's where we're really going to the Attorney General of the Soul, from my perspective.
So from your understanding, they're expunging the records that exist of young people, but they're not decriminalizing it to the point where if another young person is caught with a joint, they will receive a record. So is that your understanding of how this is working?
Yep.
Well, that's what's going on now. And we said that will make no sense.
We're having some challenges with your audio. Okay, go ahead. We didn't hear what you said a moment ago. Can you repeat that?
No, I said that's what we're talking about right now. Us, that don't make no sense.
I don't know.
We look at it we have members from our community that has numerous charges. And when they look at their charges, it's all sacrament. It's all, it's a period in time we used to be targeted and be arrested. Some of us would be arrested every Sabbath, go into Sabbath service. So that usually, that's a problem. Then we look at our community. What's going to happen to a 45, 50-year-old who has 9 charges? And you saying now the 17, 18, 19-year-old, 25-year-old, okay, their record's good because they have a few charges. Look at me with being arrested for over 25 years and using the sacred cannabis as my sacrament. How many charges I would have racked up within that 25 years? Are my records going to be clean? What's going to happen if you clean my record today? I still using the sacrament. I get arrested tomorrow. My record dirty still again. It's still too many questions which could be solved by just legalization. It just because you're gonna put yourself in this trap. They could never tell us what is a small amount. I ask, what is a small amount?
I'm back on.
A small amount to you may be a different amount to me. What happened if I have 15 small amount charges? And I work along with the former thing. I'm work with the expunging of records, and I going out and asking people them to, and I have the forms, and we go out and we ask them get your records expunged, and they look at you like, why if they're gonna arrest me still, and the thing is to arrest a Rastafarian and say, okay, you're gonna have discretion and then send me to drug counseling. So what you telling me is your drug counseling stops me from having my sacrament. I never felt like I was arrested with a drug in the beginning anyway, because I only had my sacrament. But now you turn my sacrament into a drug, and now you tell me you don't have to go to Foxhill. All you have to do is plead guilty, accept drug treatment. What did that do for me as a religion? That doesn't do anything for me. That the syllabus and saying quagmire was and what we are fighting against, being picked up, arrest, and having these records. So yeah, it's expunging the record is a step, but I don't see where it's gonna really be a benefit to the wider Rastafarian community, because we'll be considered what they call habitual offenders.
Did you get any kind of assurances from the Attorney General that they would be moving in that direction?
No, actually, I don't want to go too much into exactly what he told us,
right?
But basically they're gonna give the police back the discretion. So they said they removed discretion from the police officers, so they're gonna now give the police back the discretion. So instead of our sacrament being free for us to carry, now we'd have to hope for the police to have the discretion not to lock us up. So we now put our hands right in, we back inside our oppressor's hand. We didn't come out of our oppressor's hand. We just give our oppressors a way how to decide. And all I see personally, and it may be wrong, what I see is now police officers stopping me as a Rastafarian, meeting me with this article on me and say, okay, you have a choice. Give me $100 because I have the discretion now to arrest you or not. So I could give me $100 and you free, or I could arrest you.
Now you're making some serious charges.
No, I said now remember I said I could see this could be something that we need to ward off before it starts. All of these things we need to look into. Not saying that it can't happen. I'm a Rastafarian. I live this world. I see what happened. That's why I say that we gotta make sure put this buffer in place that it doesn't happen. And when you put that discretion, you also allow people human nature to take place. And that's not what the law should be about. It should be looking out for the betterment of me, the citizenry, and the law enforcement officer. We want what's best for both of us, so that in a perfect world, I say, and that's why I speak about sacrament. When a police officer stopped me and said that they searching me for drugs and ammunition, and it's happened many times, you should search me, put it in my pocket, put it on my car, take my ID out of my pocket, put it on my car, take my sacrament out of my pocket, put it on my car, search me for drugs, search me for weapons. I don't have any. Give me back my money, my ID, and my sacrament, and I'm free to leave. That's what should happen, and that's all we look for. If you look at most Rastafarians' charges, we do not get charged for serious crime. Our charges is always cannabis. and that'll be a big help to our communities, because I feel like our laws actually makes us criminals. Because I have a choice. Either I could serve my God the way I want to, I have to serve him, or not to. Then I become a criminal. So it's, I don't think legislation should make us criminals. Legislation should make us whole.
Pastor Dave, let's bring you back in on this conversation now. What is the church's position as it relates to decriminalization or legalization? What is the church's position?
Well, definitely the position would be decriminalization. Legalization means the free use period. Actually, if you look at it technically, alcohol is not legal. Alcohol is legal for persons over a certain age. So alcohol is not a legal drug, totally legal. I think decriminalization allows for what Brother Mikey said, non-prostitution, non-harassment. And in a country like the Netherlands, basically what they have done is in their law, they give the police discretion. And basically they have a law that's, well, it's not a law because marijuana is still illegal in some aspects in the Netherlands, but they have things where they don't prosecute. So they don't prosecute people for small use. They don't prosecute persons in certain instances. And I think there should be an understanding that, okay, it's not productive to prosecute the Rastafarian who is using it in the sacramental circumstances and so on. And actually decriminalization can accomplish that.
Okay. All right. Let's get everyone back in on this. Okay. I've been muting your microphone because there's a lot of background noise. And so I think now you're ready to say something. So let's go ahead and hear from you. Ambassador Richmond? Yes, we're listening.
That's how Pastor said. Yes, that's how Pastor said that alcohol is not illegal, but we still understand that alcohol, even we serve in the church as a sacrament, and even to persons who under age of 18, who is so it's illegal even to give the children, but through their faith, it's overlooked. It's discretion in there. So, but right now there's no formal discretion to the rest of man at all right now, and we know there's something coming. So we asking for the government to use some discretion, and from how we know from a very long time, talking about the sacrament and the Rastaman rights being decriminalized and trouble daily. Couple of our brethren get shoot. That's what happened the other day in Exuma when the police run behind a young man and take his life for a $10 piece of herb. So this need to be decriminalized for sure. So the police has been abusing and taking advantage of the citizens for the same marijuana. So this need to be decriminalized so people get the justice, they get a break from the police so they can do other things and really fight crime. Because for the long, a young man with a piece of 2 chain in his pocket and locking them up and we're dragging them through the mud, that don't make no sense no more. So why we still will do this to our young people?
I just want to say
we want to stop. We want to apologize to the Rastaman community and free up our sacrament and that's have it sorted one time, because we know that the world coming to this, and we's only less than 500 million people, and we acting like we do know what's going on with billions of people saying this is good and this is right, and we still talking like we still know some mistakes. You know, do our study and see what's going on in the whole world and stop talking about the brother cross, the big brother across the road, because they're getting this sort of, and people need this for America, so I give thanks to the Prime Minister at the start, but don't forget us, and don't put me backpedaling, that's what we're saying. Be just to the law, and we want our constitutional right to be respected and protected and recognized. That's all we want. We want fair play. And so we know what's going on with this medical, and you say farming can be happening for a small man and all that, but the export you need hazard qualify, you need facilities, you need proper greenhouses. So I call for money. So we trying to figure out now how they're going to deal with small madness. That's why we need to talk to the power that be, because we don't start seeing backpedaling already. Bless it.
You bring up a very valid point about that this is going to require money, and there is already talk about who is going to be given the legal right to grow this. Someone with a lot of money, and so does your community have an issue that you obviously are not going to be brought to the table as it relates to being given the rights to grow this thing, particularly considering that
we're not trying to jump the gun. We're just talking.
Pardon me?
I feel as though I said we need to get a meeting with the power that be the Prime Minister, and we first will talk to them first before we make any conclusion to say what we think it'll be. So we need to talk to him. But from what I see now, I say he tabled the sacrament rights for the Rastaman last year. Now he's saying they're going forward with the medical. So don't leave us behind. We want to be able to be, and they say now he talk about the young people, but he mentioned nothing about the Rasta. So we want to know that we're still here. We've been here from the beginning, saying this is good, this medicinal also, because we've been healing people and helping people all our life with this too. We know what people been say they smoke the marijuana and get, because they drink rum with it, and they use maybe other drugs with it. But the Rastaman who just take the cannabis majority of the time, our family from the Rastafari community never had a problem. And some people, they know you can't handle it. You can use your discretion. Just like alcohol. Alcohol illegal. Some people know they can't drink. They drink 3 beer. Some man drink 10 beer. Some man take 1 shot of hard rum. And some man take no shot because he know he can't handle it. So give people their freedom. Freedom God. Jah Rastafari. That's what we defend.
You see, the thing is, with the AG, with the meeting with the AG, I think it was a nice sit down with them, because it's finally they, like I said in the beginning, it wasn't a fact finding mission. It wasn't that they wanted our advice in anything, but it was they telling us what they're gonna do. And it's by time somebody tell us what's gonna happen instead of sitting down trying to figure it out, and just to hear that. I think the AG is coming from a good place. They're gonna they trying. They ain't reaching the mark, and don't think we even ain't close to happy with what we heard, but at least they gave us that honor to actually sit and speak with us and let us know what their plans is. But their plans is basically to railroad us, and they want us to sit down and agree with it. And they're saying the fears they have is coming from not doing the right thing for the citizenry of the Bahamas because of fear of America and what Big Brother is going to say to them, and how they have to walk the tight line between doing what's right for the people and doing what will appease America. And right now, what's right for the country and what appease America is not good for the Rasta, because it has never been good for the Rasta when it comes to appeasing America. We would never get no right. So that's why I asked for our government to be bold like Gaston Brown. Let's be bold. So what if, the one thing Bahamians got to realize, America whole of our head is pre-clearance. We're the only country in the world with pre-clearance into America. So what? We could lose that. I hope we lose that one day. That's where we'd stay home and spend our money in our country instead of carrying our money over there. So if that's the treaty and that's what they hold over our head, we could as a society, we should let that go. And let's be free to make our own moves in our country. Let's have our one aim, one destiny. Let's make it about Bahamians first, really, and stop. And we saying this about cannabis now, but we mean this in every aspect. It's just that the issue today is cannabis. But this wouldn't be the main issue all the way around for everything that comes up.
Pastor Mickey, you got to put that phone on vibrate, man.
Yeah.
I've been ringing too much.
Right.
All right, let's bring Pastor Dave back into this. I will tell you one of the issues that I have with this whole situation, and I think it was a problem. Also, the move to regulate the numbers industry. A part of the problem that I have is that we make these decisions, but in my opinion, we don't do our due diligence in looking at the fallout from these decisions. So let's go to the numbers industry. And I'm going to, Ambassador, I'm going to mute you because we're getting a lot of background noise from you. So just keep it muted until you're ready to speak, okay? But okay, let's look at the gaming industry. A decision was made that we would regulate the industry. The idea was that a lot of people are out there right now doing it anyway, so you might as well regulate it and get some revenue from it. This was the position of the government. Now, here's the thing. I am not satisfied that there was sufficient research done to look at the fallout from that decision, to help people who have a problem. So, they said things like, oh, the gaming houses will have to, put some funds into programs to help people who have a gambling problem. I saw some billboards out there saying, encouraging people to gamble in moderation, I guess you could say. But I don't know that sufficient was done to help people who have a gambling problem, because whether we want to acknowledge it or not, there are some people who have an addiction when it comes, they just have an addictive personality. And so in the case of the gaming, if you have an addictive personality and you're addicted to gaming, a lot of homes was severely impacted by this. And I'm not convinced that sufficient was done prior to regulating that industry to ensure that a safety net was put in place to capture those who have a problem. My concern is that we see the same thing happening here, because I understand what y'all are saying, fellas, about it's a plant and all that kind of stuff, but we know that there are people who will abuse this. Yes, it can be abused. Let's not sugarcoat it. Let's not pretend it isn't what it is. And my concern is that we're talking about, I believe, honestly, that the beginning of this is the medical marijuana. And I believe we will get to the place where it is legalized for casual use. I believe that will come. I honestly believe that. My concern, though, is what kind of safety net is being put in place to ensure that people who have an addictive personality, who have a problem, will receive the kind of counseling, the help, whatever they need to overcome this. That is my concern. I don't think that sufficient is being done as far as that is concerned. What are your thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Well, go ahead, Pastor Dave. I'll give it to you.
Let me let the Ethiopian brother. Let me let him speak.
Yes, good thanks. Because my gave me a problem. Well, this is what we have to understand. People abusing it now who have that addiction. People abusing alcohol, people is obese, eat too much food, they use too much sugar. It's addiction in some areas of people's lives. So that's why we have to have institution to help, and that's where us in the wider society come in as a family. Because if you have a family who drink too much, we try our best to help them, but they still have their right to live and to live with how they want to live. But when you see they're going too far, we have institution to help our own people, even help ourselves. So to say that it can't be found, it could be found it all over right now. It's not something what people have to bring in. Yeah, we just want to stop oppressing and just live more honest our people, and instead of oppressing, embrace the growth. And that's the time and the time of the changes. Just accept the changes and move forward, and stop using all kind of different ends to say why this is that and why this is that. Just put in place what we need to do. Set the institution, the regulation, because it's something coming. It's a medicine, and that's how people abuse food. Some people will abuse it, and some people abusing it now. So anything is actually happening. So we have to use education And parents have to teach their children how to use discretion on everything in life. That's what life is all about. Just teach our children the truth. And that's bring people to understand it, how to go about things, how to measure, how to use a balance. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think we have to remember that when it comes to addiction, marijuana is not in the same category as cocaine and other addictive drugs. In fact, marijuana is probably less addictive than alcohol.
It's not addictive at all.
So the addiction side of it is not the issue. You know, the issue is, like you said, abuse and the side effects from the psychoactive or psychotropic aspects of drugs. Because I mean, we have to admit this with marijuana. Marijuana used in certain ways gets you high, and in some cases get you very, very high, and it has an impact on your brain. When you look at it from a Christian perspective, remember that we live in a democratic society, and what I'm doing today is I'm expressing an opinion from a Christian perspective. One of the things that God's word says is that, for example, we should not be drunken, or we should not be drunk. We should not be intoxicated. So there's an aspect of marijuana that leads to intoxication. And because of our position as Christians not subscribing to intoxication, that is one aspect of the marijuana issue that is out there. And I'm not afraid of the dangers of addiction. What I'm afraid of to some extent is the impact on especially young persons. And we talked about marijuana-induced psychosis before, and it's something that I'm very familiar with because I have a number of friends who were impacted. I've worked with a lot of parents who have children who have been impacted. So it is a kind of a side effect that's out there, that's possible. And it is something that people are experiencing around the world. So it's something to be aware of. But as far as addiction is not the big problem.
But okay, just like
we should talk about the cycle in our camp. Let's catch I live some place again. In our camp and in our Rastafari community, we don't have it where persons commit suicide for smoking marijuana. We heard about other institutions and religious denomination where more than 2 or 3 persons commit suicide with their congregation. We don't really, we have no experience with that within our community, honestly. Even this COVID, we have no record from my understanding, from my record, no one who was Rastafari had the COVID so far. I guess thank God for that. If somebody else knows, they can tell me. But in our community, no one had the COVID, the disease. So we have to understand that even the scary tactics, young people can try things. They can. The more you say, well, don't do that, they become curious and do. I've been Rastafari my life, and I have children, and I can tell you how most of my kids is when they try it and when they don't try it, and some do never smoke, some never smoke. So it's each their own too. Because so instead of Rasta, I mean, we force that on children and say you have to do this. That's not that at all. It's just we need the freedom because we're destroying young people's lives with this, and young people are going to try because this is more safer than drinking rum. Because when you drink rum, alcohol, sometimes you kill yourself and kill others on the road. When there's no history. He was so high. When he drive, he had to get an accident because he was so high. That was alcohol caused the death and destruction. So everything's a balance, and it's time for us to move the yoke of our people because it's a yoke. What we believe the Christians are trying to hold on us. But the Church of England getting ready to invest $100 million inside the marijuana industry, and our church and state here is the British Empire and the Anglican Church, and they about to get in the investment. So you have to do our research and see what's going on globally also. Bless it.
That's right. What I'd like to add to that too is For me personally, I feel like the government, as a people, let's be real, as a people, we do not deal with psychosis good. We don't deal with the mental health of our country very well. We don't even have good. We have them, and Pastor Dave, don't get on me because I know you use counsel, but I feel like we need better places for counseling, not just drug addicts. We have people addicted to sugar, so many different addictive things right now. We have people who have just addictive personalities, and gambling addiction. All of these things we should have better than what we have up there, the Sandlands, for our people. And if whatever the economics from cannabis do come into the country, I hope that we take a big portion of that and put it into 3 places: our healthcare system, our educational system, and our law enforcement. Because if we do it right, we will have billions of dollars in our country quick. This thing, Jamaica did it in 3 hours when they opened up. 3 hours, one company made 300 million, and about in 24 hours, that same company made $1 billion in a day. So the money aspect of it is gonna come, but it's what we're gonna do with the money to benefit our society.
That's a completely different show, because from what I'm hearing, and I could be wrong, that wealth is actually going to go to
The Canadian owners.
on individuals and companies as opposed to country.
Right. No, see, what I say now is not, and see, that's why I say we need a new show, because we don't want to fall into that trap.
Yeah, that's
you know,
another
but that's
show.
what, if we were wise enough, we can make sure that $1 billion come to us, the Bahamian people, because we have our chance. We see all the mistakes everybody else made, but along with that, we have to educate the people. We have to know that addiction will come, because people be addicted to so many things, but we also need to have the facilities to treat addictions, and we need to be able to treat all addictions, and don't just think it's gonna, because you may start a marijuana addiction campaign and find out that you find hardly anybody, but we have a lot of people addicted to other things. So we need to have that as a people. We need to take our people health more seriously. And it's sad that we laugh at people when we see them on the road and not know what their real issue is, and most of those psychosis, and a lot of us call it, that one on drugs, you can see, and may not be drugs or alcohol that actually have them going out of their mind. So we as a people, that's what we need to really look within ourselves and wonder why we do we find it so easy to laugh at these people on the street? That's a problem within our own self, when we could do that. And we'll not have that compassion for your brother and wonder why. How can I help? That's what we need to do. And I think hopefully, even with this cannabis conversation, it opens up new conversation for us to really be our brother's keepers.
All right, we have to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to wrap this thing up. We're talking medical marijuana today, going up in smoke, getting ready to move towards the legalization of medical marijuana in the country. What does that mean for our nation? We're talking about it, and we will wrap this whole thing up on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
Bishop Denzel Rowe, General Superintendent and the Executive Council of the Highway Church of God, Bahamas, invites you to attend its 56th Annual General Convention under the theme, Arise, a Call to Duty. Convening February 17th through 21st, 6:30 p.m. nightly at Southland Church of God, Soldier Road. Speakers include Bishop Denzel Rowe, Bishop Carvin Bain, Pastor Rakino Monker, Bishop Robert McPhee, and Bishop Eric Josie. There will also be a special midday oil and water service on Thursday, the 18th at 12 p.m. with Apostle Raymond Wells. That's the Highway Church of God, Bahamas' General Convention, February 17th through 21st, 6:30 p.m. nightly at the Southland Church of God. It's time to arise.
Want to look your best and feel even better? Visit J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa for the ultimate beauty, body, and anti-aging treatments, offering custom colors, haircuts, vegan anti-freeze treatments, silk blowouts, natural and acrylic nails, unisex pedicures, facials, and massages, all waxing services, and microcurrent therapies for anti-aging and body sculpting. J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madeira Street. Telephone 326-7863.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting sugar-free berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
And we are back. This is GPS Global Paradigm Shift. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm, and we're talking proposed legalizations coming soon of medical marijuana as announced by Prime Minister Hubert Minnis several days ago. My guests are Pastor Dave Burrows from Bahamas Faith Ministries, who is representing the Bahamas Christian Council on the panel today. And also with us is Richmond McKinney, Royal Ambassador for the Ethiopian Black International Congress and representative of the Crown Council of the Ethiopian Empire. Rasta Mickey Bowe had to leave because his phone kept blowing up because his clients, he does IT work and his client's system crashed and he got to go fix their system. So he had to pull out. But I want to say thank you to him for being a part of the conversation for as long as he was able to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to a couple comments now from our Facebook audience. And you know what? We got so deep into this conversation today, I forgot to give out the phone lines for those who are listening by radio. We still have 17 minutes left in the show. So if you want to hear, if you have a question or a comment, you want to hear your voice, this is the number to call, 828-3543. 828-3543 is the number to call. And 828-2543. 828-2543 is the text line. So let's go. We have a lot of comments on Facebook. And guys, our Facebook audience, if you haven't already done so, make sure you like and share the show because obviously this is a conversation that needs to be had on a national level. Stacy says, I agree, you can't give the police such power is their discretion. It's time. It's either a crime or not, period. All right. Let's see. We have Bertha who says, I can't relate to this because they use marijuana as part of their religion and I use the Lord's Supper. Suck my teeth. Okay, we have so many comments. Let's see. Mario Bain says, I don't agree that it's less addictive than alcohol. I think it depends on the individual. We have another comment from Windsor. Bethel Windsor says, Minnis trying everything in the world right now and is using this as a tactic on the Bahamian people, mainly people who don't know better. Let's go to another comment from Stacy. Stacy says, most Bahamians have chronic illnesses, obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, etc. So I guess medical use of weed is for everyone. I don't know if I will go that far, but you know what? Prepare the last clip for me, please, because listen, guys, marijuana does have medicinal value. There is no question about it. Study after study, we've seen cases of particularly people who have brain issues. In In this particular clip that I'm going to play, you're going to see it in action. This is a gentleman who has Parkinson's. And now, for the record, it was not administered through smoking. Because as we have said on this show, there are many ways to administer this without smoking. And when it comes to medical marijuana, I suspect that is the direction that they're going to be taking. But take a look at this video. This is actually, you will see in real time the impact that medical marijuana had on a gentleman who is suffering from Parkinson's disease. Not hearing it.
Hi, Larry. How are you? Come in.
Let me know when you have that up. And then we will go to it once you have the audio situation sorted out.
It was playing.
You guys could hear it?
Yeah, we were seeing it, yeah.
Oh, they could hear it, but it's just that we can't hear it in the studio. Facebook, can you hear it? Let us know if you could hear it. I don't know why we can't hear it in the studio. Maybe our radio audience was hearing it as well.
Hi, Larry. How are you? Come in. Let's see. Hi, Larry. How are you? Come in. Let's see. How you feeling? It's been a bit of a rough week, really. And the best way to take it is put it under your tongue and rub it in your cheek.
But Facebook, well, I'm not sure. Facebook hasn't said that they couldn't hear it, and our guests could hear it. So perhaps you should just let it play. I'm not sure if our radio audience can hear it or not. Say that again. They can't? Radio couldn't hear it? No? Okay, we're going to try it one more time. If the guests can hear it and Facebook can hear it, we just have to figure out why we can't hear it here in the studio and why possibly radio can't hear it. So let's try it one more time to see if we can get the sound up. Because it did.
Hi, Larry. How are you? Come in. Let's see. How you feeling? It's been a bit of a rough week, really. And the best way to take it is put it under your tongue and rub it in your cheek. Don't do too much, you're going to be asleep all afternoon. You know what you should do? No. Don't try to communicate, just relax. See what happens.
We know from animal experiments that the endogenous cannabinoid system is very important in regulating motor activity, that very type of activity that is impaired in Parkinson's disease. From animal experiments, we also know that boosting certain branches of the endocannabinoid system is helpful in relieving symptoms of Parkinson's. Finally, from anecdotal information, we know that certain patients who smoke marijuana experience relief of their symptoms.
I think you're calmed down. So quickly. Isn't that amazing?
He used just a single drop, and his hands afterwards were rock steady, and the dyskinesia left.
The voice flew back. It works most of the time. In fact, it's... Did you guys eat lunch?
Are you hungry now?
20 a.m. Yeah. Actually,
A person like me could really use marijuana. It makes me pretty angry that I can't get it in my home state.
The number one frustration that I have is knowing that there is this untapped potential that comes from what marijuana is teaching us to generate new medicines, and being stuck because of financial issues or political issues. That is extremely frustrating.
We now know that medical marijuana controls dyskinesia. and yet it's not available to us.
We got word that you were able to hear it on radio and Facebook could hear it, and our guests could hear it. That's the most important thing. So we just, for those of you in Radio Land who are listening to the show via radio and couldn't necessarily see the video, what actually took place was a doctor came in, gave him the medical marijuana in the form of something that he could swab in his mouth and in his cheeks, in his mouth. And literally within minutes, this is a man who had terrible, symptoms from Parkinson's, and literally within minutes, the tremors stopped, his voice was back within minutes. So clearly, there is benefit to this for people who are suffering, like that gentleman, from Parkinson's disease, from seizures. There are all number of it's being said that it can help cancer patients, particularly those who are going through chemotherapy and have bad nausea. It helps to calm them down enough to be able to take in food. And so it's been shown to have benefit. Nobody's arguing against that here today. All right, just for the record, everyone on this panel agrees that there is medicinal value in this. The question is, where we go from here? Is this just the beginning of an avalanche that is going to come upon us that we may or may not, depending on where you sit, have the ability to handle? That is the next question. Are you gentlemen concerned that there is not more transparency as it relates to what the government is planning, not just with the legalization of medical marijuana, but down the road? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, okay. I think let's look at what are the potential benefits, okay? One of the most important things as it relates to marijuana is we agree that we need to stop unnecessary criminalization and young persons being denied opportunities, persons being harassed unnecessarily. So when you decriminalize marijuana, that helps with that. It's a benefit to society. Persons who need medicine that benefits them, they should be able to receive it. On the other hand, you have to be careful of the abuses and the side agenda. So for example, I have two friends in California. One friend was in an accident. He was in the war in one of those Iraq or something like that. And he basically explained to me that he had a marijuana prescription because it was the only thing that could help his condition. On the other hand, I have another friend who was a member of the Bloods in California, the Crips in California. And he's walking around with medical marijuana prescription, and we know nothing is wrong with him. And he knows nothing is wrong with him. So that's the dilemma. The dilemma is you want people to get help who need help, but you have to be very careful about how it's regulated so that it doesn't become the side issue. And the side issue is the illegal trade, people using it for recreational use, the negative effects on society. So there's a balance there. And like you said, Michelle, there's a need for more information. How is this going to look? How are you going to, for example, if you are growing marijuana with THC in it on Andros, how are you going to ensure that it's only used for medicine, that guys are not going to, go down in their boats, raid the field and come back, and then that marijuana is a part of the black market in Nassau? So those are some of the issues that you have to think about.
Mm-hmm. Ambassador, your thoughts?
Yes. Well, we have Jamaican law enforcement, the Cuban law enforcement, even the Bahamas. And smuggling still going on today. Plenty of herbs still in this country today. So this is something what is not happening. Right now, when it comes to, say, with young people, a lot of Bahamians could confess that even trying to doing recreation, they found out that it helped them with their health when it comes to asthmatic patients. And too much patients tell me, and I had asthma myself, that start smoking, their asthma, just leave them completely. So we, over the years, I was giving persons the herb tea who had chemo, and that caused them to start eating food, put on weight, and get a little stronger and last a little longer. So we know the benefits, but the scary tactics have to just leave so we can really set the legislation properly and stop all the scary tactics. We have to be careful. Of course, we have to be careful to have laws in place now. So just free the people up in the fullness of the law and give the people the justice. And that's what it is. And so I don't want to talk too much about we need to be careful. Of course, be careful already. We're too careful already. We're too careful. That's what's going on right now. And we hate now our people. That's how the young man got shoot the other day in exam. I keep on saying that. Be too careful already. Free up the people in this last judgment. That's what we need. Free up the people. Freedom, redemption, international repatriation. We talk about freedom. That's how Rome is legalized and tax. Free the herb up, legalize and tax. People use it for benefit. People use it for recreation. People for whatever they were used it for. Let's free the people up. Stop this scary tactics on the people. That's straight up. And we sick and tired of being sick and tired of oppression. There's oppression on the people, you know. Or enough part of the world have this thing free and people they kill up one another. So, and you know, but I know we call it a Christian nation, but in the preamble is this nation is based on spiritual values, not a Christian nation. So we can't use the dogma and scare our people. We have to stop that. And that's what I'm talking about. Let's stop scaring our people and let's give them education. And that's what we need. True education. Because the herb, when it comes to the Rasta man, it's a small issue. You know? We want freedom, redemption, international repatriation. I say all these pack bread and both from Africa, but we want to teach African culture, let the people know who they are, know themselves. When you know themselves, you know how to gentlemen use your inner spirit, your spirit to really guide you. So just free the people up. That's what I'm trying to say. Just free the people up. And that's why I asked the government to free the people. We need liberation we need right now. True liberation.
All right. I'm gonna treat that as your final thoughts. Pastor Dave, give us the final thoughts on this subject, please. And then we're gonna get out of here.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate my last point, and that is, you know, there are benefits to decriminalization. Medical use, as long as it's medical, is not an issue. But I think we need to look at the total framework and all of the ramifications to come up with a policy that is best for our country.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I'm going to end today's show with a comment from one of our Facebook viewers. It says, truth, the governments have people in fear and still ain't telling the truth about anything at all. So we have to demand accountability from our leaders, and particularly when it comes to an issue like this. I think we need more information so that we can all be engaged and play a role, I believe, in the future of this country as it relates to this whole question of marijuana. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of yesterday. I really appreciate you both for being here.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for today's show, guys. Tomorrow is Wellness Wednesday. You know what? We're going to focus on brain health tomorrow because this, I guess, was a sort of a precursor for that kind of conversation, because much of the conditions that marijuana is effective in treating could be avoided actually through with nutrition. We're going to talk about brain health tomorrow, y'all. Do not miss that show, especially if you have someone who is suffering from Parkinson's or dementia, Alzheimer's, that kind of thing. You want to be a part of the show tomorrow. That's going to do it, guys. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like and share the show. I'll see you guys tomorrow.